Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, December 21st, 2013. This is episode 1041. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk about, I don't know, tech, I guess. Computers? Sure. The internet? Sure. Really, mostly the computer these days is a cell phone in your pocket, right? That's the most powerful computer out there. We can talk about that. Home theater. In fact, about half an hour from now, our home theater guru, Scott Wilkinson, will join us. Talk about that. Now, here's how we talk. You call me. I could call you, but I don't know your number. So I'll give you my number. 8888. It'd be funny if I just called people. Hi.
Need help?
This is Tech Guy. You need any help? Actually, that's been a big problem. That was one of the big security issues of the year, I'd say. And certainly we heard about it on this show, was people pretending to be Microsoft, calling people up and saying, I'm calling from Microsoft. And we've noted a lot of security issues on your system, a lot of virus activity coming from your machine. Funny thing is, sometimes people go, yeah, well, I don't have a computer, or I'm running a Macintosh, and they just go, oh, and hang up. But most of the time, people say, what? And they say, well, here, let's just check. And they get you to run the System Resources Monitor on Windows. And I think, is that or the log? It's the system log, but it shows you all the errors that have occurred. Now, what people don't understand is there are errors occurring all the time, like constantly, in any operating system. These are errors that are handled and dealt with, and the machine moves on, just like life. Nothing's perfect. It just moves on. But when you see, or the victim sees this list of errors, and then the bad guy, posing as tech support from Microsoft, says, see all those red errors? That's the virus. Actually, what he says is, do you see any red errors? And you go, well, yeah. Oh, we got problems. And then this is how they get you. They say, well, look, we would like to offer you, sometimes they say complimentary. We'd like to offer you a complimentary cleanup. I just need to log into your system. Here, download this program and run it. Sometimes they're even really nervy, and they say, for $300, I'll clean up your system. And people go, yeah. And they give them $300. Worse, they give them a credit card number. No. Then the bad guy says, good, well, let's clean this up. He gets in your system, puts all the bad stuff he wants on there, and then says, you're all better. Thanks for the $300 and your credit card number. We'll see ya. And, of course, the problem is that I think a lot of people, almost everybody, feels overwhelmed by technology, says, I don't understand this stuff. And it's completely believable that Microsoft would call them. Usually the person who does this, by the way, is a tech support person anyway. They're running in the call centers in India and Asia, and this is their downtime. When it's not busy, the boss says, make some calls. Install some malware for us, will you? So they're very credible. They sound like they know what they're talking about, because they do. Don't get bit by that. Microsoft doesn't call you. Let's make 2014 the year nobody gets bit by that. How about that?
There's a resolution.
There's a resolution. Now, there's some things you can't do anything about, like Target. 40 million credit cards. 40 million credit, and not just the credit card number, the expiration date, the 3-digit, what is that, a CSC value on the back of the card. Everything a bad guy needs to use your credit card. Stolen. Now, Target's confirmed it, but they haven't given us enough information to really know what to do. Target said that between November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and December 15th, a week ago, the point of sale systems, that's the cash registers, at the checkout stand, were attacked. So they have software, a networked software system running these point-of-sale registers. That was hacked. And 40 million, they estimate, 40 million credit and debit card numbers were seized by the bad guys. Target said, quote, "We have alerted authorities and financial institutions immediately after it was made aware of the unauthorized access. Target is putting all its appropriate resources behind these efforts." What they haven't told us is, first of all, who? So, was it you? You don't know. It should, and you know, I bought something at Target in those dates. Does that mean every credit card used at Target in those dates is vulnerable? Do you have a Target credit card? Is that vulnerable even if you didn't use it on those dates? We don't know. Target's not saying. Brian Krebs, who is one of the great security guys, love this guy, reported a rumor of these attacks December 12th. See, what Brian does is so cool. KrebsOnSecurity.com, Krebs. Used to work for the Washington Post. They fired him. He's doing better by himself. He's doing a great job. So what he noted was that the bad guys were starting to sell credit card numbers. And he said, I think there's been a breach. 3 days before Target announced it. According to sources at 2 different top 10 credit card issuers, the breach extends, this is Brian writing, to nearly all Target locations and involves the theft of data stored on the mag stripe of cards, any cards used at the store. Target still isn't saying much. 40 million credit cards. So what do? Well, first of all, you can't really be sure whether, if you shopped at Target in those dates, I would say yes, just the safest thing would be assume. Now, what Target's saying is, well, check your credit card statements carefully for the next year or so. And it might be for a while because the way the bad guys work, they get these 40 million credit cards. They sell them online, hacker websites. They sell them 1 million at a time often for pennies to dollars per number. The person who gets the credit card then encodes it back onto a credit card and starts making small purchases. You won't see somebody going out and buying a yacht. What, honey? Did you buy a $1 million yacht last week, honey? No, it's $29 worth of gas. It's a pair of tennis shoes, so often smaller. Sometimes they will, and this is a known technique, they'll make a small donation to a charity. Because it turns out the smaller charities really don't pay much attention to things like credit card fraud. So what they're trying to do is this number real? Is it working? Has it been halted? And they literally give $5. This happened to my credit card. $5 to an English charity I never heard of. So small you might not notice it. And a charity, what bad guy would give to a charity? Well, it turns out the charities don't have much security. It's perfect. Perfect. Then there's a couple of things they could do. One is they just keep using it. Hope you don't notice. That, if you check your bill, you will, of course. Honey, did you just buy some Adidas in Miami? Don't get mad at your spouse if it says that he's been going to Paris. He may not be him. So what should you do? Well, yeah, they say you should maybe check your credit report, check your credit cards. I think, and they don't want you to do this because it's expensive, but I think if you have a Target credit card, I'd say it was lost and get a new number. Just say, hey, I want a new number. I would absolutely do that because we don't know. Maybe they got the point of sale stuff and every Target credit card. Who knows? I would also say if you know you used your credit card at Target in those dates, I would get a new one. Forget looking at your bill and trying to catch it. Just get a new one. They don't want you to do that because they have to issue a new card. It costs them a lot of money. Credit card companies would far prefer you just check your bill very, like Bob Cratchit, every time you get it, entry by entry, carefully. Probably should still do that, but get a new credit card. I don't think there's a problem with that. Of course they don't want you to do that. Target says we are currently working with authorities and a leading third-party forensics firm. Target has put all the appropriate resources on the issue. These are all the kinds of soothing things companies say, hoping you will just pay no attention and move on. And you know what? You will, because it happens all the time. Should you not use credit cards online? Of course you should. But I'll tell you some things you might want to do when we come back. Your calls too. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Happy holidays, everybody. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's snowing in the studio. That's nice. It's a little chilly. But I don't know. It feels like the Wizard of Oz when we were in the field of poppies and I'm falling
that's a gorgeous
asleep.
scene.
Yeah. Poppies will make them sleep. So one thing that we really ought to do in this country, and we have avoided and they've done it everywhere else, is something called chip and pin. It would solve this problem entirely. In most of the rest of the world, you have a smart chip in your card. Your credit cards are smart cards. There's a little chip in there. I think it's probably RFID. I don't know exactly how it works. But in order to use your credit card, you have to have the card and you have to know a PIN. And when you use your credit card anywhere, you have to enter in that PIN. There was no breach of Target in Canada because of chip and PIN. Now, of course, the bad guys got the pins, probably, I would guess. But you also need a special kind of card. And I guess they're hard to make. I don't know. For whatever reason, it works. We don't do it in the U.S. And it's why we have far more credit card fraud than anywhere else in the world. So that's one thing we could do. Another thing you can do when you shop online, not all credit cards offer this. Check and see if yours do. I know some Discover cards do. PayPal will. American Express might. You can make a one-time only credit card number. Now, there's two kinds you can make. One that will only work with a single merchant. So this would be the one you'd keep on file at Amazon. You keep using it over and over again, but only Amazon can use it. No one else can. So if a bad guy gets it, no big deal. He can't buy sneakers, can't buy gas. I guess he could buy something at Amazon, but that's about it. You can also make a one-time use card, which only can be used once. The number is not good again. Check. PayPal doesn't do it anymore, says Dr. Mom. Thanks, PayPal. You get the feeling, I don't know why, but you get the feeling the credit card companies want this stuff to happen. You're not liable. Once you catch it, they're only liable for up to $50. It just baffles me why we don't have a more secure system. You can also, and this is another thing they don't want you to do, put a fraud alert on your credit reporting agencies. There's 3, TransUnion, Equifax, and I can't remember the third one. Always forget them. But you can go to each of them and say, I want a fraud alert. That makes it harder for you to get credit because they have to call you before they can issue you credit. But it's a very useful way of preventing people from... This was more not so much for somebody using a credit card, your credit card against you, but to actually something much more devious, dangerous, and harder to fix, which is identity theft. Getting more credit cards issued in your name. See, some of these leaks are not just credit card numbers, or maybe not credit card numbers at all, but if they happen to lose your social security number, your birth date, your place of birth, it's easy to use that information to get credit cards, new credit cards issued in your name. So demand chip and PIN. Call your credit card company. Demand it. Citi credit cards allow one-time virtual numbers. Discover do. Our chat room's good at this. And by the way, the 3 credit reporting agencies are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. I always forget them. By the way, one more tip. FreeCreditReport.com ain't free. Great ads. Great name. But in fact, it's not free. What you want to do is go to annualcreditreport.com. That's the one that is free, but you can only do it once a year or if you have been a victim of fraud. Annualcreditreport.com once a year will allow you to get your credit reports from all 3 reporting agencies. This is something they're required to do by law, and they do. They would prefer that you go to freecreditreport.com because it's not free. Figure that out. The good news is, and I suspect this is because the FTC required it, if you go to freecreditreport.com, right at the top, it says, this is new, important information. When you order your $1 credit report and score here, so it's not even the free one is $1. You will begin your 7-day trial membership in freecreditreport.com. If you don't cancel your membership in the first 7 days, you'll be billed $20 a month for your free credit report. It's good they put that right there, right at the front. And they do then give you a link. It says, click here to access your free annual credit report available under federal law to annual credit report. So if you accidentally go to freecreditreport.com, just remember, free ain't free. Annualcreditreport.com is free. All right. Enough said. I just think it's important in this holiday season to lock everything down. Chip and pin. Just write your member of Congress maybe and say, hey, can we require chip and pin in the U.S.? Just require it. I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I'm not sufficiently conspiracy-minded. There seems to be some reason that the United States credit card companies are willing to undergo a huge amount of fraud, much more fraud than in any other country. There's got to be some payoff here. There's got to be some reason the credit report companies don't do a better job, don't allow you to find out information. There's got to be. There's got to be something, some reason. I can't figure it out. Seems like it must cost them money in the long run, right? 8888 Ask Leo. Heather Hammond is our phone ranger. She's got a roaring fire behind her, and the snow is letting up a little bit in her booth. We should probably turn the AC down or up. Turn the heat up so she's not freezing. But when you call 8888 Ask Leo, you will get Heather, and she seems to be busy answering a call, so I won't bug her right now, but I will say hello to our first call of the day. In Simi Valley, Larry is on the line. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Leo, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It's beautiful in Simi Valley. Anyways, my question is, I have an old iPhone, and I'm really contemplating going Android, more or less Galaxy.
All right.
Galaxy 4 or the Note 3.
Okay. I have both.
And I'm interested in how much learning curve is it to go from one to the other.
Not insignificant.
By the way, I have the 3S.
Oh, goodness. Well, it's time for you to get a new phone. You will be amazed at the new speeds that you can get on these LTE phones. So first of all, I would look at a third phone. For iPhone users, to me, the best phone, the easiest phone to learn, and the one that fits the hand best, because the other two phones you're talking about are kind of big, is the Moto X, the Motorola X. It is my go-to phone. And a number of people, myself included, say it's the iPhone of Android. Easiest to understand, easiest to learn because it has less cruft on it. Not so much stuff from Samsung messing it up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. No, they never tell. You know what? So somebody in the chat room said this happened to Lucky Safe Mart stores in the South Bay, and nobody ever found out what happened or how much was stolen. It was only because the story was leaking out that Target said anything. This stuff happens all the time. Banks routinely are hacked, and they just cover the loss and move on because the consequence of saying, yeah, our security isn't so hot is far greater. So I've been told this by the Secret Service. That's who investigates these. And I suspect that this was some years ago. I suspect it's even worse now. That they say banks typically do not report these issues. The Moto X and the Moto G. Now, the Moto X also has off-contract pricing down now about $250, $275, I think. So the X or the G. But the point is not so much the price is that it's an attractive form factor. It's an attractive size. It is, I think, cleaner because it's a pure Android phone. Now, mine is all junked up, so I should probably. This is a different launcher, so this isn't what it's going to look like. Let me put the regular home screen back on here. Let's see. I guess I can do that like this. Oh, I have Apex. I don't want to even use Apex. Can I change? Yeah. One of the reasons I like Nova is because you can easily change. Let's do this. Launch Nova Launcher. and then change the default launcher to this always. All right, now, so this is what it will look like out of the box. You got the Google search up here. Actually, I don't have very many icons on it, but you could put icons on it. You could put, it has folders. Feels to me very much like an iPhone. You can have it be pretty much a pure iPhone experience if you wish, which is just a grid, icon grids. The apps are going to be very similar to the iPhone. There's some differences. The bigger difference is going to be when you get into settings. And you get into settings over here by sliding down from the top. And they look different. Concepts are all the same, so I don't think you're going to have too much trouble. I do root some phones. This phone is not rooted. You don't need to. One of the reasons I don't root the Moto X is it's already KitKat, and Motorola's updating these very quickly. I don't see any, and there's not a lot of cruft. There's not a lot of carrier cruft, and there's not, the Motorola stuff on here is actually useful instead of stupid. So I don't feel the need to root the Moto X, but you can. In fact, you can do it. They will unlock the bootloader for you. I just don't. I don't feel any need to do that. Let's go back to Apex always. Now, the Note 3 is nice because it's a giant screen. And I'm using a custom launcher. So you see, for instance, you don't see icon names and stuff. I don't want to waste space on that. I don't like the Google search bar on the top and stuff. But Samsung just crufts it up like crazy. So on the Moto X, you swipe up from the bottom, you get Google Now. Nothing. You double tap this, and you get Galaxy's S Voice, which I don't ever want to use, instead of the Google Voice. It's just better to, I think, to have a pure Google experience. Oops. In general. God, I mean, look at the camera, for instance, on the Note. All these modes, and it's just too much stuff. It's confusing, and you're not going to use a lot of this stuff. Golf mode, really? So just to complete the thought before we move on, you get a lot of advertising for the Samsung phones, the Galaxy S4 and the Galaxy Note. They're powerful. They're better screens, and spec-wise, they're great. But unfortunately, Samsung has junked them up with all sorts of stuff, kind of like the Windows machines in the latter days of Windows, where there was 15 trial programs and they just all these pop-ups. I just wish they wouldn't do it. I don't need a golf mode in my camera. I really don't. And yet it's there taking up space, and you cannot get rid of it. So the reason I really think especially for iPhone users, the easiest move would be to go to Moto X or a Moto G. These are very inexpensive, by the way, right now. Some very good deals. Moto G off contract is, I think, $175. So it's a lot cheaper than an iPhone. And I think in every respect, as good, if not better. The one, except one, and it's the camera, is not great on the Moto X. It's a very great disappointment, and I feel that Motorola will be releasing an updated Moto X soon with a better camera. There's no reason for it to have a bad camera. The Galaxy S4 and the Galaxy Note have very good cameras. Very good cameras. That's the biggest disappointment on the Moto X and the Moto G is the camera. Scott Wilkinson is here. Look at that. He's all Santa-fied. Ho, ho, ho. Santa's visiting. He's our home theater expert. You'll find him on the AVS forums at avsforum.com. That's where he's the editor-in-chief. He's also on our Home Theater Geeks podcast on Mondays. Hi, Scott. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Leo. So nice to be here.
Yeah, you look good in that hat. You just actually look like somebody should be sitting in your lap.
Well, I have often thought about becoming there are actually two societies of natural bearded Santas.
Yeah, that's the best kind.
It is the best kind.
We don't want Santa with an unnatural beard. That just sounds wrong.
I know another guy who's a member, and he does Santa gigs, and he invites kids to pull his beard in the hopes that they'll then pull the beard of the next guy who doesn't have a real beard.
Come on, pull my beard. You should have come up to San Francisco last weekend for SantaCon.
Oh, man, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it's thousands of people dressed as Santa. It's actually a pub crawl, so I don't know if it's really kind of appropriate. It starts in Union Square. It's the strangest thing you ever saw.
Yeah. I've actually seen coverage of it in Portland, Oregon as well.
Yeah.
They do a
big event.
1,000 Santa pub crawl.
Yeah. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
So Santa is Santa bringing any home theater goodies? You know what? I just read an interesting review in CNET's audio file or audio.
Oh, a great blog by Steve Guttenberg, who's been on the Home Theater Geeks podcast many times.
I know, and because of that, I have huge respect for him. I did not realize this. Klipsch still makes their Klipschorn and Heresy speakers.
Yep.
These are speakers. Klipschorn's been made since 1947.
I know.
The Heresy since the 50s, and he just reviewed the new Heresy 3s, and he says they're marvelous.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure they are.
2 feet tall. They're not huge. They're not like towers.
Yep.
He was very impressed with them.
Well, you know, it's amazing that Klipsch is one of the few companies that really has pioneered and continued to use what are called horn tweeters, horn speakers, where the tweeter element, the actual diaphragm, the driver of the high frequencies, is mounted at the throat of a horn of a very specific shape, and it allows the speaker maker to control the directivity, you know, how wide a beam that those high frequencies are going to form, and how evenly they spread through the room or not. Now, commercial cinemas have been using horn speakers forever because that allows them to send the high frequencies into the auditorium in a very controlled way. But it produces a particular type of sound that a lot of people like and some people don't. So it's a matter of personal preference, but a lot of people like it because they've been successful since, as you say, for 50, 60 years.
Steve says it's the closest thing to being in a live rock concert. When you can turn the speakers up to that level, it feels like, you know, the band's playing in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And certainly horn speakers are also used in live PA applications like at rock concerts. So
yeah.
It does sound very much like that.
That has that
and
feeling. Yeah.
if you can turn it up and it's still clean, you know, I'm always concerned about hearing protection and
that's
hearing
true too.
damage. So you want to be a little careful with that. I don't want to advocate, you know, you go up to 100 decibels or more for very long anyway.
No. They can do that too on 40 watts of power. Hey,
exactly.
Hobbit in town. People are going to see it. It's been out for a little while now. I went. There was room in the theater. What's the best?
Did you see it at high frame rate?
I did not. And so I'm going to ask you, what's the best way to see The Hobbit, audio and picture?
Well, audio-wise, I'm going to say Dolby Atmos for sure.
Okay.
Because they did a wonderful mix with Atmos, and when the dragon is flying around, you know, his sound is all over the theater, and it's really wonderful. I mean, there's many more effects than just the dragon, but that's just one example. So Dolby Atmos if you can. Okay. Now, as far as...
That dragon is quite an effect, by the way.
Oh, serious.
Wow.
Serious.
Wow.
Really cool.
I don't remember, though. You know, I'm a big fan of the original book, The Hobbit.
Sure.
I don't remember the elves being that vicious. Were the am I wrong? Were the elves like great warriors in the original books? I don't think so.
You know, I honestly don't know.
They're like ninjas in this movie.
I know. And there's a female one, and I'm not sure that
Toriel, I don't think I think that's made up.
Exactly.
I'm rereading the book right now with Michael, our 11-year-old, and Lisa. We're having quiet little fireplace reading time. And the book is so sweet, and it's really a kid's book. It's before he wrote The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and this movie isn't quite. I mean,
no, no, I don't think this is a kid's movie. In fact, Michael saw it and he loves it, but I thought, gosh, this is kind of violent.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the video, there's this whole controversy about high frame rate. As we talked, I think last week. Peter Jackson shot this movie at twice the normal frame rate, which makes it look very much clearer, particularly things in motion, either the camera panning or things moving across the visual field. And a lot of people like that, but a lot of people object to it, saying that it looks more like video and it doesn't look like a movie should look.
So what do you think? Because I didn't see it in high frame rate, so
I like it. I personally like it. And in fact, I'm running a poll on AVS Forum. Do you like the look of high frame rate?
Yeah.
And interestingly, I was kind of interested, actually. There are so many negative comments about it. And yet the yes, I like it camp is winning the poll. I mean, it's the majority of answers in the poll. So that is kind of interesting.
Another topic, of course, this is holiday season, but also Super Bowl's coming up next month. People are thinking about big screen TVs. I bet you there are not a few families who are saying, hey, let's back off on the presents a little bit and get the family a big screen TV.
You betcha.
Seems like a good time to do it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly we'll see at CES next month. We'll see all of next year's models. So
but
now
those aren't typically out till the fall, right? I mean, this is
sometime between the spring and the fall. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
But now is a good time to get a 2013, and I'm happy to say that at AVS Forum we have. I just put up some buying guides, including my top picks for LCD TVs and plasmas. Now, this is the last year that you're going to be able to buy, well, maybe not the last year, but certainly one of the last years you're going to be able to buy a plasma. Panasonic's getting out of the business. I'm very interested to see at CES when I go to the Samsung booth or the LG booth, will they have any plasmas?
It's a dying technology,
sadly.
Which it shouldn't be.
No.
It's not dying for any technical reasons. People aren't buying them.
Yes, exactly.
Scott Wilkinson, avsforum.com. You can read his writings. You can watch his works, great and small, at twit.tv/HTG. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. That's right. The Super Bowl's on Valentine's Day now.
Is it really?
They keep moving it back, yeah.
Oh, wow. Man.
I forgot.
Oh,
I always think of it in January, but it hasn't been in January for years.
Well, the other thing I will talk about at some point, maybe next week, is I saw a new demo this week of a technology from Dolby, of all people, a video technology, essentially much higher dynamic range in an LCD TV. And wow, what a difference. It's really incredible.
This is a TV technology.
It's a TV technology, and it basically boosts the peak white, the light output of the TV by hundreds of times.
So you can turn it down and get better blacks.
Well,
no?
it's still
like Dolby for audio.
It's like Dolby for video. Yeah, it's Dolby Audio for video. It basically expands the dynamic range. It doesn't raise the blacks while it's raising the whites. It keeps the blacks down there, but raises the whites a whole bunch. And the advantage is that it allows the picture to look much more like real life with things like what are called specular highlights. So reflections of the sun off a shiny airplane, or an arc welder. I mean, they had a picture of an arc welder, somebody doing this arc welding in an otherwise dark environment, and you could see the detail around the really, really bright point of the arc welder, but you could also see the detail in the shadows around it, which is unheard of in TVs today. So we're going to see that at CES as well. That's actually one of the more exciting things that I'm looking forward to. Of
course, now that I bought an OLED TV, I don't want to see any.
And they're going to announce companies. Dolby isn't going to be making TVs, but they are going to be licensing this technology to other companies, and we're going to hear announcements at the show of which companies are going to be the first to come out with this technology.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Greg is in Canoga Park, California, our next caller. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Long-time listener. And I guess I'm a little bit nervous, but I did want to call and share with you and your listeners that I apparently am one of those people that got hit by the Target compromise.
How do you know?
Well, I think the news actually didn't break out, actually hit the...
on the 15th.
Yeah, on the 15th.
Yeah.
Well, I checked online with my online banking, and I started seeing all these charges. I had one of Target's debit cards, and they were small amounts, like you said, $8.28.
Yeah.
$5.77.
Had you used your Target card in those dates between November 27th and December 15th?
Good question. The answer is yes,
okay.
I did.
Okay.
And the thing that really ticked me off, and I like Target, and I think the people that work at my local Target were great, but what really ticked me off is when I got the card, the first thing I did is called them. I suggested, it'd be great would be I got a text message each time I used my car.
Yeah, there you go.
And of course, they thought I was like from some other planet or something for recommending that.
What?
But but I kept on mentioning it to them. Indeed, earlier this year, I even put it on one of their comment cards. Hey, how about, like each time I use the card, send me a text message so it's an added layer of security. And obviously, it never happened.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of things they can do. And some cards, I know my American Express, if I download the app, I can set it up that will give me notifications under certain circumstances. If there's a certain, there's an amount limit, if it's used, I always get, and I love this, a card not present text or email from American Express. So if the card is used without a physical card present, I will be notified of that, and I think that's very handy. So some cards are more aggressive about it than others, but remember, American Express charges more to the merchant. It's a more expensive card, and I imagine that's one problem Target has, is they don't want – it's expensive for them to send a text every time you use it. And so they're reluctant to do that, right? I have to think these companies must – there's a turning point where it's more expensive for them to have the fraud than it is for them to do the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing is that what I discovered in all this when I had to go to my bank and get a new debit card, my bank debit card, just to be safe, is I discovered that they do have something like what you were talking about at American Express. So yeah. I would suggest that all your listeners check with their local banks in regards to their own debit cards.
I think that's the key. I think if we as consumers call the banks and say, why don't you have chip and pin? Why don't you have a more secure system? If we start doing that in number, at some point they're just going to say, yeah, and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would hope so. Chase will send an email or text whenever the card is used if you request it, according to one of our chatters. Bank of the West say they call for anything unusual. It seems like we could do better. It really does.
Yeah.
So what can I do for you?
Oh, for me personally?
Or you just called to tell us that your experience? Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to share with you.
Thank you
for asking.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share it with your people. That unfortunately, like you said, I think they can do a better job with security and maybe save themselves and us all a lot of worry.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays, Greg. I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
Same with you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Take care. Johnny in Los Angeles. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well.
So am I. I have a little problem here.
Okay.
I have a new computer. I'm not too familiar with Windows 8, and a couple of days ago, I wanted to make my icons larger, and I did. I went into the whole rigmarole there, and I made them larger, and I said, oh, no, I went back to make them smaller to their normal size. I only had 3 options there, but it wouldn't go to the smaller size. It would only go down to from the larger, the third, to the second, but it wouldn't go, even though the little dot said yes, but it wouldn't do it. And I was fooling around, and then up in there.
Now, did you have it at the smaller size originally?
I had it at normal originally.
So you've never had the smaller size. And are you talking about the tiles on the start page?
No, I'm not. They're fine.
You're talking about desktop icons.
Yes, but everything. What I went through is to try to make the desktop icons larger, but then I got them too large, and I tried to make them smaller.
And you couldn't go backwards.
No, it wouldn't. It would go back. Yes, it would. There's 3 options.
Right.
It would go back from the third, which was the largest. It would go back to the third, but it wouldn't change. It just wouldn't. I did it over and over and over, and I'm not a nerd, but
it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Another thing popped up on the screen to the upper left-hand corner, and it was a hand, and it was also a ruler, and it says customize. And I said, okay, well, I'll try this, and I went up to 500 I saw flash on the screen. I said, well, what in the hell? And then something happened, and then it would not go back at all. So I have this new Lenovo computer, and it has a refresh system, which I don't like. And I said, Jesus, I'm gonna lose all my stuff here. but I'm going to do it anyway. So I went to the refresh system. I went through the whole rigmarole there, but I lost everything. But yet, and it was supposed to go back to normal, like from the store, but it didn't. The damn icons and everything else stayed at like 5.
Oh no! Oh, you're kidding me. So you rolled it back, and this is, by the way, one of the nicest features of Windows 8 is this ability to go back to the way it came from the factory with just a click of the mouse. You did that.
No, not with the click of the mouse. I had to. It took me.
Okay, that was just a. They want to make it a little hard, otherwise you might do it a little too quickly.
You know what? I like my old computer, which is still working, but it's disconnected with.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Option 4 for the icon size. Go back to Windows 7. That's the chat room's option 4 is.
Yeah, I would like to go back to XP, which I have on my old computer.
Don't go back. You can't go back to XP, and you know why? Microsoft's not going to do updates on it after the spring, after March.
I know that, but even so, I thought about I had the disk for that by throwing them on here. What would happen if I put my XP disk on top of Windows 8?
It would be a mess that you would regret to the end of your days.
I would.
Yes, yeah. Don't do it. Now, I think what's happened, and the chat room has some suggestions.
Now, see, here's the problem. I'm not on the internet. I would have had this problem fixed.
You could Google it, right? Yeah, no, you can Google it. Chat room thinks you might have changed, and I suspect this is the case, your resolution or your DPI, because it survived a restore, which means it wasn't a setting on the desktop. It was very likely that you had changed the resolution. A number of people are suggesting you hold down the control key and scroll your mouse wheel. While you're in the desktop, scroll your mouse wheel and see if that will allow you to scroll back to smaller or bigger. That would be cool if that did that. And that's the kind of thing, though, that's so easy to do by accident that it might be that's what happened, that you scrolled the wrong way and now you can't go any smaller. In other words, you've got what I think is you do have the smaller icons, but everything else has been blown up. You might also create a new Windows profile, a new user within Windows 8.1. See what it looks like there. It might be tied to your user account. It does sound like a number of things have gone wrong here, but I'm sure one of them is the source of your woes. Comp Mike in the chat room says, right-click on the desktop, select screen resolution, and then click recommended. That's the resolution that Lenovo recommends for the monitor you have. That should work. M5's telling me in the chat room the 3 sizes of the font directly related to screen resolution. So it sounds like you're not optimal screen resolution. Try that. Couple of ideas for you. Thanks to our chat room. You can get in there by going to techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, home theater, smartphones, all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside the U.S. or Canada, you just use Skype or some other voice over internet protocol and talk to us. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention the website, techguylabs.com. Great place for you to go if you want to be in our chat room or just want to look back at previous answers on the show. All of them are there. James DeRuvo's writing them down as I speak. Josh Windish then adds the audio and the video, so you can really go back in time through all of our shows. 1,041 shows. We're coming up on our 10th year as the Tech Guy. And the only reason I know that is because my chat room moderator, who's been with me from the very beginning, Dan, just sent me the transcript from the first Tech Guy chat, January 4th, 2004, and where I made him mod of my chat room. So he's been with us 10 years since the very beginning. So congratulations, Dan. And 10 years. That's kind of neat. Now, the funny thing is, I have been doing this show for more than 20 years, but this is when I became the Tech Guy. See, I was anointed as the Tech Guy 10 years ago.
And what is the 10-year anniversary?
So I start, okay, you want a silver? I don't know.
What do we get?
Wax? I think I get wax lips. I don't know. In radio, it's something different. I don't know what it is. I get a golden microphone.
Yeah.
10 years in radio is nothing. Nothing. I started doing radio and, see, this. I shouldn't do this because it makes, you can't tell how old I am from my youthful voice. But I started doing radio in 1976, before you were born, Heather. And then I started doing only technology radio in 1991 or 92. I can't remember. 91, I think. So really, this is my 23rd anniversary doing tech call-in shows. Of course, it wasn't tech. It was computers back. It was Windows 3.
We called it something else.
Yeah, the Tech Guy Show. It didn't become the Tech Guy Show until 2004 when I moved the show to the 50,000-watt blowtorch of Southern California, KFI. And from there, the world. But it really didn't take off as a show until Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, joined us a few months ago.
Now you got something.
Transformed the entire network. Who should I talk to next, HH?
I love all these callers today, but let's go to a farm in Tennessee where
Sounds
Chuck
good.
is.
Chuck is on a farm in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, I'm looking for farm. Here it is, yes. Line 4. Hi, Chuck. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi. Yeah, I'm a retired aerospace engineer stuck out here in the woods.
Awesome.
Awesome. I've been doing some consulting work since I retired from that business, and I wrote a lot of software for Visual Basic and Basic at running what I was doing in engineering.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't it great that now you can have in your home a computer that's more powerful than anything you had in your career, probably?
Oh, yeah. I tell you, I wish I'd had my XP Pro when I was hauling that laptop around the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
But it don't run Visual Basic.
What?
It won't run. It will not run my Basic and Visual Basic programs that I wrote many years ago for handling special problems. So now and on top of that, my old XP machine just died. So
that's good because it's time to get rid of it. It's been how long? 10, 15 years? It's been a long time.
It's been over 10 years.
Yeah.
But I have Windows 7 and Windows XP Pro, but I'm still doing some consulting work part-time just to keep as a memory exercise, but I still need, when I work with customers, I still need to use those old programs.
Yeah, so they were written in VB6. What version of Visual Basic? 5. Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason. What it has to do is the DLLs. I would suspect is the DLLs are no longer supported on the current version.
Right. Well, I run just fine on XP, but that's what I've been using for the last 10 years. The problem of course, with XP is in a couple of months, in March, Microsoft ends of life's it. Is that a verb? It's going to be end of life, which means no more patches, which means it's unsafe to run on the internet. If you just want to run it at home, fine, but don't put it online because you'll get hacked almost instantly, I would guess. Right, and even my old HP convertible laptop is dying on me. Yeah. So I've got to come up with something. I will not use it on the internet. It will only be used.
Oh, well, then that's fine. Since you're a techie and you understand this stuff, I guess you want to use VB, huh? What I would suggest is you probably could run on that Windows 7 machine, run a virtual machine and install Windows XP on the virtual machine and install VB5 on that virtual machine. And in effect, you're running in the virtual machine the older version of Windows and Visual Basic. Everything will run as normal. It could even be full screen as if it's, running the whole computer.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm an aerospace engineer, not a computer science engineer.
It's not hard. So there's a free one called VirtualBox that I like a lot. You can get it from virtualbox.org, but I'll have to check. That's a very good one. Just Google VirtualBox. If you want to go more professional, you could get VMware. And that costs you money. So it just depends on whether you want to spend money or not. VirtualBox is absolutely free. It will run your old version inside a window, and you can run your old VB as well. You have the discs for the original, for the VB you wrote that stuff in?
Somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to have to find those CDs somewhere.
being an engineer, I never throw anything away.
Man, I wish I could just, Chuck, I just want to sit down. You have a front porch out there in Tennessee?
No, I got a nice little patio outside my basement office.
I want to come over. I want to sit down, get some Tennessee, sipping something, and spend a few days jawing with you, because I bet you've got some stories to tell.
Oh, yeah, I've been retired. This is my third profession I retired from.
Oh, wow. That's great. Well,
Air Force pilot, and an aerospace engineer, and now just general consultant.
Wow, that's great.
It's been fun.
What kind of planes?
Oh, I flew F-86s and C-130s when I was flying for the Air Force.
Wow.
And then I worked at 32 years as a test project engineer at Arnold Air Force Base running wind tunnel tests. So that's why I'm stuck out in the woods in Tennessee.
Did you fly that Sabre in combat?
No, I didn't quite make the Korean War. Fighting was over by the time I started flying the F-86.
Quite a plane.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a plane. A little bit more fun probably than a C-130.
No, the C-130 was a lot of fun as long as you didn't have to go down where they were shooting at you.
Yeah, not very mobile.
Right, it was a 4-engine fighter plane.
Yeah. The C-130?
Right.
Oh, I thought it was a cargo plane.
It is.
Oh.
I said it flies like a 4-engine fighter plane.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The Hercules.
All right.
Hey, it's great talking to you, Chuck. I think you got you can download it on your XP machine. Do it now while you're still safe to be online. Mm-hmm. It's called VirtualBox. Yeah. It's free. When you run it, what it'll do is it'll give you that black screen that you get on a PC when it says, "Okay, now install your operating system." You put your XP disk in there in the CD-ROM. It'll install it, and then you can run it. It's kind of cool. You can run XP within Windows 7. It's the safest way to do it.
Oh, and that's interesting to know. I finally decided as a backup, I'm going to buy me a refurbished XP machine. You can get those for under $100.
Oh, sure, yeah. Nobody wants them anymore.
It'll just be sitting over in the corner.
That's fine.
When I need.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good talking to you. I usually get somebody that's got more urgent problems than for us semi-retired old people.
Next time, we'll spend some more time together. Thank you, Chuck. Good to talk to you. Thanks for your service. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's true. He could get Windows 7 Pro. What was I thinking? That's virtual PC in effect, but yeah, you could run that. Wow. I love it. I love the people. I love the people who call this show, I gotta say. We've been having all sorts of problems on all the shows with Skype. Scott, Mary Jo Foley in particular. I think Tom was having similar issues, and so we got to resolve it. I know people think Hangouts is better. It's not. It's just a different set of problems. And the reason I know that is we've used Hangouts with Jeff Jarvis for a long time now because he has a Pixel and we can't run Skype. And there's other problems. It's also not as good. It uses video, and it's just not as good in my opinion. But I would love to find a better app than Skype. We're looking at Link. We're running Big Ginger. We're running a Link server in the basement. And as soon as Link and Skype and Link kind of unify, which is the plan, we'll try that. The nice thing about Skype is, Link is that we can do point-to-point. We'll be running our own server. We have no clues bash. In fact, that was an interesting test, which I'm surprised they hadn't tried, which is using the latest version of Skype with Scott and our different connection. We have several connections in here. We're using a dedicated ADSL connection, ADSL2 connection, I think, with the SonicNet Fusion product with our Skypes. So there's nothing else on that. Yeah, I hope we solve this before New Year's Eve. It's a good point. I didn't think of that. Thing is, it seems like short calls are fine. It's after about 5 or 10 minutes. It's a problem. We can't use GoToMeeting because you can't go full screen on GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is really for online meetings, not for point-to-point calls. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Holiday edition, 8888 Ask Leo. John is in North Hollywood with our next call. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I have a new Vizio N-Series Smart TV, 2 weeks old. Netflix, 1 week old. I was browsing the Netflix movies, and the Vizio remote quit working, and I can't get it to work again.
Gee. I don't know if the tech guy can help you here. Have you tried throwing it across the room?
No.
You did change the batteries, obviously.
Yes, and unplugged the TV and waited 15 minutes, plugged it back in, and it's working great on the Uverse and the Uverse remote, but the Netflix is through the Wi-Fi, and I don't have any Vizio remote capability.
It could just be, a bad remote. If something's going to fail, often, especially with solid-state electronics, it fails fast because the chip's got a bad chip or a bad capacity or something. A capacitor or something. I would just bring it back. How about that? What an idea. Phil in Orange, this is the kind of thing I can't really fix. I don't have any magical powers yet. Working on it. Phil, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Phil.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm well.
Of course. I've been listening to you since ZD TV, is it?
That was it. We had to change the name because people thought it was a pasta network. We're calling from ZD TV. What, ZD? I love baked ZD or boiled ZD? What kind of ZD? So it stood for Ziff Davis, and then we changed it to Tech TV because people understood that.
What was the name before that?
ZD TV. You got it. That was it.
That was the first one.
When we launched in May 1998, it was ZD TV because it was owned by Ziff Davis, and they felt it would be best to be obscure. And of course now my network, my podcast, I hate to call it a podcast network, my netcast network is called Twit, which now so I have the same problems. Hi, I'm calling from Twit. What? You calling me a Twit? No, I'm calling from Twit. Oh, you're a Twit. It stands for This Week in Tech. Oh. So I have learned no lessons. So
I just got stepped on by eBay. I live close to the beach. I was riding through the neighborhood. I have a repair business, and I saw East Bay Street, and I saw eBay Street.
They're going to sue those. They're going to sue the city of wherever you are, Orange.
I'm in the county of Orange, right on the border of Costa Mesa, Santa Ana.
They're going to sue Santa Ana.
So I've had this.
How dare you name a street after us?
I've had this. I quickly changed it 6-something years ago, and I've had it ever since. And then on December 8th, they got an email saying I have to change it. I can't have.
You're kidding. You did get sued. You got a cease and desist.
Can't have anything with Bay in it. Can't use the word Bay.
OMG. So your company's called what?
My handle was E_Bay_ST, just like it is on the sign.
Because you're on East Bay Street, yeah. And that was a handle on used how? Where?
On eBay.
On eBay. And they said, well, okay, I kind of understand that. Because they don't want people to think that you represent eBay in any way.
I understand it, too. But they gave me a week to change it. Ugh. And I responded to the email. Of course, you can't do that. You have to email them through their legal department.
They even say, do not respond to this email. No one will be there.
Right.
This is an unattended emailer. Well, they have the right. It would be another matter if you were using it in the yellow pages and they said, we're going to go after you. You could probably go to defend yourself in court. I don't know. Maybe you could. Maybe you couldn't. These days, who knows? But on their service, they have the right to say you have to use a different name. And I think it's even a credible reason to do that. We don't let people use Leo in our chat room, even if you're named Leo. Because we don't want people in the chat room to be confused that it's the Leo as opposed to a Leo. So I guess I understand that.
Yeah, they gave me a week.
Yeah.
And I think after 6 years you could have a little more time.
I agree. It's not very nice. But, they just noticed it. What can I say? It's like this Duck Dynasty thing. You could say somebody has free speech. You don't have free speech on eBay. You have free speech in general. You can go out in the park and say, I am eBay. But you can't on their own turf, you know, they get to tell you what handles you can use. And it probably says somewhere, you may not use a handle that implies that you are an employee of eBay. And it just takes them a while to notice this stuff. Now, Wiggs says, just ignore it. See what happens. I don't know if this is how you do business. See, this is the problem. You've done businesses with this name, eBay Street, for a long time, and that's how people know you and stuff. I would hope maybe if you spelled it out, East Bay Street, they would allow you to do that. They said you can't use Bay, huh? It's their network. There is no free speech on a private network, just the same as in our chat room. People often come to me and say, hey, I can say anything I want in your chat room. And I say, I beg to differ. Because we try to keep the chat room clean, family-friendly, on topic, and things like that. And we have the right to do that. It's a private network. Chat room says, don't cave right away. Try to negotiate something, Phil. You have my sympathy. I don't know. What could you do? You could say change Bay to Gay. E-Gay Street. Or Hay. E-Hay Street. Change one letter. They just don't want you to use Bay. Oh, Hay Street. Chris, Pittsburgh, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
I have a question regarding SSD encryption. So I have 4 computers, and I've upgraded all the hard drives to SSD. And I hear you and Steve Gibson talking about using BitLocker and so forth.
Right.
My question is, if I use BitLocker and encrypt the drive, if Windows crashes, normally what I would do is I would take the hard drive out, put it in an external enclosure, and then hook it up to another computer and be able to copy off my data.
Right.
If the drive is encrypted, how do I go about and do that?
Well, there are two ways. If you're using the Windows BitLocker, when you encrypt the drive, it'll say, would you like to save the certificates out? It's a certificate-based encryption. Very important. Save those certificates out. And then when you move the drive, first of all, the drive takes the certificates with it, but it's still important to save those certificates. You can then unencrypt it. It'll say, well, help me unencrypt this drive. And you say, here's the certificates, and it'll be fine. As long as you log in, it'll be able to do that. And if you were using something like, say, TrueCrypt, it would just be password protected. You just use the password.
Okay. Because I ran into...
I understand why it's confusing, because it unlocks... BitLocker gets unlocked by logging in.
Right.
But I think you would have to do a separate unlocking independent of the logging in on another computer. The good news is recovering the machine doesn't require that the machine understand the data. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, I just had to turn my video off because it seemed like the connection was going bad.
Yeah. Well, you're in Canada now, right?
I am in Toronto, Canada. There's snow on the ground. It's raining a little bit, so I hope it doesn't rain too much because we want a white Christmas.
I spent 4 years going up to Toronto every month to do a TV show up there, and never did get a white Christmas, but I did get snow. Yes, indeed, you get snow. So Johnny's our travel guru. He is on the web at johnnyjet.com. He's on Twitter at JohnnyJet. He's on Instagram now. And he's always given us great suggestions for ways to use technology to travel better. Johnny, what's up? What do you want to talk about this week? Skype is failing us. The snow is building up on the wires, and they're starting to stretch. And the connection...
Okay, now I can hear you.
There we go.
I think Natalie was streaming something.
Tell Natalie, knock it off. No Pandora during the Johnny Jet sequence.
Anyway, I didn't hear your intro, but I'll tell you one thing. The big news this week is that Southwest and United and JetBlue and Delta all said no to in-flight phone calls.
Hallelujah. So the FCC, which regulates whether you can use a cell phone in the air, has been investigating this. But I think customers are pretty clear. We don't want anybody using their phone to talk. You could text, but I don't want you to talk. So did they say no texting too?
No.
I bet you they said no Skyping. Oh, we're just really You know what, Johnny? We're going to give up because I don't think it's going to get any better. But let me wish you the best holiday season. I know he's up there in Toronto with his wife, Natalie, lives up there. And that's got to be. That's one reason Johnny puts on so many air miles. He lives in L.A. His wife lives in Toronto. That's a long-distance romance. But they're traveling so much that they probably spend more time together than many couples. You can find out more at johnnyjet.com. Johnny, we'll just figure out a better way to do this next time. Maybe the telephone. What a concept. Let's talk to Thomas, Vancouver, Washington. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Thomas.
Hey, how's it going, Leo?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I love the snow graphics that you had on your.
Yeah, if you we do a live video stream of the show, just so you can watch the behind the scenes, and we happen to have some snow I can now put into the video. It doesn't accumulate though, except on my head, on my hair. For some reason, my hair is getting snowy. What can I do for you?
Yeah, that's true. I have a question about home group on Windows 8. I do not know how to do a home grouping, like show specific file or folder on home group when I go into the properties and permissions. I type in the email address of a Windows 8 user, and it doesn't show up on my home group.
Microsoft has a really great page on setting up a home group. The idea is this is file sharing within your personal network. You could also share printers that way. And it's changed quite a bit. Home group started in Windows 7. It's available in Windows 8, Windows 8.1. Now, you can join a home group on a PC running Windows RT, but you can't create one or share content. With Windows 7 Starter Edition and Windows 7 Home Basic, you can also join a home group, but you can't create one. So make sure you're using either Windows 7 Pro or Windows 8 or 8.1.
I have 8.1 on my computer, and everybody else is using 8. And
okay, that should be okay. That should be okay. Then you go into your network settings, and you tap or click Home Group, and then create a home group. What you'll be doing when you do this is you'll select the libraries and the devices that you want to share. So you create your home group, then everybody else does the same thing, but instead of when they tap create, they'll say, wait a minute, there's one already on this network. Do you want to join it? And they say yes. Okay.
Yeah, we already did that. Everybody's already connected.
Okay.
The file we're having trouble with.
And then you'll need a password. What's going on?
What's going on is that all of us goes into a folder, properties of a folder, and then we click sharing, advanced sharing, type in the email address of one of the users of Microsoft. For example,
yeah, because that's the login now on Windows 8. If you're using Microsoft logins, your email, your Outlook address becomes your login.
Yep. So we type that in, and the computer says cannot find the user. Do
you have any security software running on your system besides Windows Firewall?
That's all we have. We don't have Norton.
No Norton running, because sometimes security software can block this. Windows Firewall, of course, is smart enough, unless you've explicitly blocked it. Windows Firewall is smart enough to ignore it, to let it pass through. But if it could be that you have changed the settings in there. So look at the Windows Firewall. Make sure that sharing is enabled on all of the machines. Sometimes what will happen, and this is very typical of networks where there's security, what you want is that outbound connections are allowed, but inbound are not allowed, things like that. So I would look at your security settings. The other thing is that you need to, and this is from our chat room, they say, don't forget to add the machine name when you add the username. So machine name / user. Does that sound right? I haven't really tried home sharing. I prefer to use something like Dropbox or SkyDrive, ShareFile, or Sponsor. I find those are, frankly, better solutions for me. Tell you what, I'm sure somebody in the chat room will have some solutions for you. But I will put in our show notes at techguylabs.com Microsoft's step-by-step, and that has some troubleshooting at the end. Now they say, Mooncat's saying, no, in home groups, you just put a password in. Yeah, it doesn't mention the, well, I don't know. Look through that, Thomas, see if that helps. We'll put that at techguylabs.com as we do all of our notes, all of our locations. Moving on to Mike in La Quinta, California. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Fair to Midland, and may I please beg to ask you a more pressing issue than what I initially called for?
You may ask anything you choose.
Awesome. I have a unit transmitting HDMI from one room to another, pretty dense. Now I've moved that HD flow to an either further location. Obviously, I've lost the signal. There is an Ethernet port on the back of those two units. Is it as simple as just plugging into the same network and being able to transmit that way, or have I lost my HDMI transmission? And I guess I lost you guys.
No, you didn't. I'm thinking. Vapor lock.
I was like, okay.
Vapor. How far is the HDMI going?
It's the room that it's transmitting is directly above the garage, but this home is a multi-million-dollar home, well, dense.
Wait a minute. You say transmitting as if it's wireless. Are you using a wireless HDMI transmitter?
Correct. Company's name is HD Flow, as in high definition flow. It's pretty awesome.
But for some reason, it stopped working.
Yeah, because obviously I moved it another 20 feet. Yeah. So with the dense
wireless is tough, and HDMI is sending a lot of data. I think that's, yeah, you're right. A very nice house might have more metal in the walls. That'd kill it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's talk about some other solutions in just a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Remember when ex-cable lobbyist Tom Wheeler was appointed to the FCC chair back in May of 2013? Well, guess what? The new chairman of the FCC, turns out he thinks internet service providers should be able to favor some traffic over other traffic. Yeah, see? Wheeler says Netflix might say, I'll pay in order to make sure my subscriber could receive the best possible transmission. I'll pay. Great. Can you believe, are you a Beyonce fan? I like Beyonce's music, very poppy.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, there's nothing like Put a Ring on It. I mean,
that was a classic. Yeah. So all the single ladies love that song. So she's on a 122-city tour, just winding it up. Somehow, in the middle of this tour, she's raising her small child, she and Jay-Z, and released a 14-song album, each with its own video. I don't know when she managed to do that.
Right?
She's making us all look bad.
Does she just never sleep?
Apparently not. Interesting, because a lot of people are saying this Beyonce album that she released is perfectly designed for the new media, social media era. It's the number of shares, and I don't mean Sunny and, I mean the number of places that people linked to Beyonce's album, the number of links to the videos. She didn't need to do a marketing campaign.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah, and it was clever. First of all, she's got the army, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody loves her. Madonna calls her the queen.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are mashups. There are Instagram went crazy with pictures of Beyonce.
I think what social media has taught us is that you really have to have a good product. You know what I'm saying? Because if she weren't great,
no, you're right.
Share
you also have to have a community. You have to have a large, devoted community that when you do something like release this album, goes crazy. So now we've learned that because Beyonce did this and a digital surprise release on iTunes, she gave iTunes an exclusive for the first week. Amazon, Target, and other retailers say, we're not going to carry it. We're not going to sell the CD. We will not carry the physical CD because Apple got exclusive rights for 1 week.
Oh.
December 13th, it was her 5th studio album, 14 songs. There were 17 videos. She called it a visual album. Sold 600,000 units in the U.S. in the first 3 days, 820,000 worldwide. Number 1 in 104 countries. All of this without any marketing because her devoted fan base marketed it like crazy for her.
So what do you think about those stores?
I think that we don't need them.
It's the big who cares, I know.
We don't need them. Amazon and Target say Walmart says, actually Walmart's going to sell it. Queen Bee actually went to a Walmart to shop for Blue Ivy, and so they said, okay, well, in that case, we'll carry the album. Fans say the singer was pushing her own cart and seen walking up and down the aisles, picking up toys, for Blue Ivy. And, yes, she bought a copy of her CD at Walmart.
Wow.
She also said hello to the crowd over the store's loudspeaker and gave out 750 $50 gift cards to shoppers at Walmart. This woman is a marketing genius, a marketing wizard. And Target and Amazon don't like it. How dare you give an exclusive to, I don't know, when did she find time to film these 17 videos? Underwater? In a bag? I don't understand how she did it. What do? They bring a portable recording studio with her? I don't understand it. In any event, it just underscores the irrelevance of physical media. It's like, so I guess I'll buy it on iTunes. All you're doing is telling people to, well, don't come to us to buy your records anymore. Good for her. I think that's fine. And Target and Amazon, shame on you. That's just petulant. Oh, how dare she? How dare she only use iTunes for the first week? How dare she? Pretty amazing. Of course, nobody's shopping at Target these days anyway. If you shop at Target, bring cash. Don't bring your credit card. That would be dangerous. Mike. I'm sorry, we just talked to Mike. Let's do the other Mike. Mike in Santa Monica. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay. Got some Christmas shopping done while I was waiting, so that worked out real well.
There you go. You probably had quite a bit of time to do that. I'm sorry to keep you on hold.
Hey, quick question. Is it beneficial to have, if you're going to buy a Samsung, like I'm looking at a Samsung 7300, is it beneficial to buy the Blu-ray and the soundbar with the same manufacturer because of the remotes, or do you end up still having to use all the three remotes?
That would be the one reason why you might want to get it all from the same manufacturer. It is often the case, I'm not sure with Samsung, but it's often the case that any one of those remotes will work for all three of those devices, and that is a nice feature. We've all got too many remotes. On the other hand, mixing and matching Blu-rays and receivers doesn't hurt in any other respect. I have completely unmatched. Oftentimes, oftentimes one of those remotes will work anyway. For instance, for some reason, my cable company's remote works fine with everything. So
really?
Yeah. So many remotes will act as universal remotes.
Yeah. Are there universal remotes that are out there that for sure will?
Oh yeah.
You can. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Logitech's Harmony line is highly recommended. And they have
I'm sorry, which one? Logitech?
Harmony from Logitech. Just Google Harmony remote. They make great universal remotes. But the truth is, you probably aren't going to, it's not going to be too complicated, frankly. For instance, CEC, which allows the TV to control the receiver, will work across brands. And that means when you turn on the TV, the receiver will say, oh, the TV's on, turn itself on, switch to the right input. A lot of these things now work pretty well. But you're right. If you get all Samsung, and there's no reason not to, Samsung Blu-ray players and receivers are excellent. It will probably be a little bit easier.
All right. Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thanks for the call. That would be the one reason to do it. I don't. I mix and match because I want, a AV receiver with more capabilities. I don't actually use a Blu-ray player. I use my Xbox One or my PlayStation as a Blu-ray player. So But if you're out there, you're buying, you need all three things, get them all together. Makes it easy. John, Appleton, Wisconsin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John.
Well, it's actually Josh, but, close enough.
Josh, sorry.
No worries. Actually, I just had a quick question. I just recently broke down and upgraded my Windows 8 on my laptop to Windows 8.1.
Right thing to do, I think.
Well, that's debatable because, I work at a major retailer as my main job, but I also do a lot of video game testing and video game programming on the side as on a contract basis for companies.
How fun!
And one of the games that I spend a lot of time on, even for fun, is League of Legends. And lately, ever since I upgraded to 8.1, I'll be in the middle of a game and Windows will blue screen on me.
And I see this is not an uncommon problem. So I'm looking at the League of Legends forum on PvP.net, and they say blue screen of death or something like it. It says a violent system shutdown.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Let me take a look, and maybe when we come back, we could talk about it. Yeah. Hang on, we'll talk more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about, that's the holiday edition of the tech guy. Computers, the internet, smartphones, how to shop for a geek in your life. 8888. Ask Leo, that's the phone number. We were talking to John in Appleton, Wisconsin. He is, among other things, a video game tester, and he installed Windows 8.1, an upgrade that I have recommended for anybody using Windows 8. But it does cause some problems, and he's saying it's causing problems in particular with a game that he plays. And then we looked at the League of Legends forums, and yes, other people are experiencing these, crashes. Apparently, it's a video card issue. Have you tried updating your video card drivers?
Yeah, I actually got the most recent drivers from NVIDIA. I run a GeForce 745M.
You know that sometimes it's not the most recent driver that's the one you want. If you could find the WHQL certified driver for the card, sometimes that'll work better, even though it's not as up to date.
Unfortunately, I'm not sitting right in front, but I do use NVIDIA has its own proprietary their GeForce experience, and I have that set up to not only actively look for the most recent driver, but even the most recent beta versions of drivers, because a lot of times some of the stuff that I test isn't exactly on market quite yet.
Right.
As it were.
Well, and that's, so is that your question, or you want to know how to roll back, or?
Actually, I was wondering if you had any ideas on anything else I could try. I've upgraded all the drivers I can think of.
Somebody recommended a firmware upgrade. It may also be that you're overheating. So make sure that your coolers are working appropriately. That because overheating is one of a hardware crash like that. Isn't a software issue usually. It's either a driver issue because drivers are writing to low-level memory, or it could be a physical hardware issue.
I mean, it has popped up with a couple of times with the message where it's running low on virtual memory.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's a bad thing. So you want to make sure that you have enough free space on your drive.
Yeah, but here's where I'm getting a little confused, because I've got almost 16 gigs of dedicated virtual memory. I find it kind of hard to believe, especially after a restart, that I'm using all 16 gigs already.
Here's what I would suggest is go back to letting Windows manage virtual memory.
Okay.
That's always better than used to be. In the old days, we used to do that. We used to override that setting and set up virtual memory ourselves, and there were reasons to do that. It reduced drive fragmentation and so forth. But I would go back to letting Windows manage it. Make sure you have enough free space. You obviously do if you have a 16 gig swap file. You have enough free space on there.
Yeah, it's a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, I would let Windows manage it. See if that's, you're certainly going to get rid of that VM error, the virtual memory error.
And
how much RAM do you have in the system?
I've got 32 gigs plus 2 gigs dedicated.
Plenty.
And, even when I'm actively keeping an eye on stuff, the only thing that I have noticed is since upgrading to 8.1, I have been getting some huge spikes on my on the drive usage itself. It'll be at just standard usage, and then it'll spike up to 100% for a couple of seconds.
I just don't.
And then it'll drop back down to normal levels.
I'll be honest. I think for most people, 8.1 is a good upgrade. It's an upgrade most people should do. It was, for the most part, Microsoft recognizing that they went a little too far, pushing people towards a touch interface in Windows 8. They returned a start button, not a start menu, and they allowed you to boot into desktop mode. A few things that just kind of acknowledged people's dissatisfaction with Windows 8. But 8.1 also fixes a lot of bugs. In general, you want to do those updates, because for security reasons, if nothing else. Interesting that our Windows expert, Mary Jo Foley, who writes for Ziff Davis ZDNet. Her blog is all about Microsoft.com and does a Windows netcast with me on our Twit network, says the next version of Windows, maybe even sooner, will have a start menu. That Microsoft is waving the white flag, that they realize that getting rid of the start menu, replacing it with that full screen set of tiles, is causing a problem with users. It's confusing them. It's irritating them. And I suspect the real reason Microsoft's backing down, and they said that we will not back down. No, you get used to this. The reason they're backing down is business, which has said loud and clear, we're not going to upgrade to Windows 8.1 or 8 because we don't want to have to retrain, and this will require retraining everybody because it's so different. Most of Microsoft Windows sales still go to business, and if business isn't buying the next version of Windows, that's going to hurt Microsoft badly in the long run. So it's my suspicion that this isn't us saying no. Microsoft was willing to have end users be upset. But when big businesses, companies that buy hundreds of thousands of copies of Windows at once say, we're skipping this version, then Microsoft responds. Really surprising. Nevertheless, when there is a big upgrade, when there is in effect, Windows 8.1 is a service pack update. When there's an update of that level, you got to do it. You might want to delay as long as you can and see if there's no problems with stuff you have to run. If your work requires you to play League of Legends and you can't, that's a problem. So you might want to check to make sure that those things that you have to run work okay in Windows 8.1. It does sound like it wasn't a universal problem, but but some have had it. There are a lot of changes in 8.1. It's a big difference. Sorry that happened to you, Josh. Jim in Rosebud, Arkansas. What a great name. Hi, Jim.
Good morning, or afternoon, I guess.
Good afternoon.
Hey, I've got a Toshiba external hard drive. It's the second external hard drive I've had. Been using it on an HP, or actually a compact laptop, and it's got about 38 gigabytes of information on it, files and whatnot, and it just stopped reading it. I can plug it into my Mac Mini, and it will be read-only on there. I assume that's because the NTFS, I think it's called. I know a little bit about this stuff. But,
yeah.
I'm currently plugged into a PC I've never had it plugged into before. It come up, showed the file installing this hard drive and so on. But then when I pull up in the control panel type place, it doesn't show it available. If I unplug it, then it asks me it tells me I need to format the drive.
Okay, well, the good news is it sounds like the drive is physically visible, but there's something wrong with the formatting of the partitioning of it, which means you can't access the files on it. So that is usually fixable. It's a software error. There are two kinds of hard drive errors. There's software errors or soft errors that can be usually fixed by software. And there's physical errors. The circuit board on the drive dies, in which case you wouldn't be able to see the drive at all. Or a head is bent on the hard drive. That can happen if you drop it. Or a scratch on the media that you just can't read past. Those things are hard to fix because you have to take apart the drive and fix them. And only a specialist with a clean room environment with bunny-suited workers can do that. They also have to have all the parts and so forth. And that costs thousands of dollars. But this sounds like the problem you're having almost certainly is a software problem and can be fixed. Now, the problem is the tools to do this are more expensive than buying a new drive. If you have a good backup, probably when a hard drive fails, probably the best thing to just buy a new drive. They're so cheap now. It often is the case, though. I'm sorry to say that people don't have copies of that data. They need to get that drive working. That's when you bring it to a specialist who has all the software programs like SpinRite, my friend Steve Gibson's program that is a low-level drive kind of reformatter. It doesn't care what the operating system is. It doesn't care what the data is. It can be encrypted. Doesn't matter. What it's doing is going sector by sector through the drive, reading it, and then if it's hard to read, rewriting the data somewhere else, marking that sector unusable. It can take a long time, like days. I've heard it taking months in some cases, because some of those sectors are so hard to read, but it almost always can recover the data. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Happy holidays to all of you from all of us at the Tech Guy Labs, including the great Heather Hammond. You going home for the holidays, Heather Hammond?
Yes.
Good. Good. Is home... where is
Just
it?
a couple blocks away.
Oh.
I'm not traveling. I didn't need to pay attention to Johnny Jet's segment on traveling over the holidays.
What are reindeer games, after all? Dr. Mom wants to know. They'd never let Lord Rudolph play in any reindeer games.
I think they would practice their leaping and stuff.
Leaping and jumping.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's move on. I think we got Mark on the line from Phoenix, Arizona, where it's Christmas all year round. Hi, Mark.
How you doing, man?
Very well. Welcome.
So, I have a suggestion first, and that is for all the geek people out there. They can do themselves a huge favor and buy ESET or Carbonite for their friends for Christmas.
Oh, what a nice idea.
Yeah, so
I didn't think of that. That's a great idea. Yeah, because you're geeky enough to know how important it is. You could do a favor to the less geeky amongst you.
And you're doing yourself a favor at the same time.
Yeah, you won't get the call in June when they lose all their data. You're brilliant. Brilliant, Mark. Thank you.
Well, here's what I'm not brilliant about, and that is I keep buying my daughter iPhones. And
me too. She drops hers or loses them?
Well, the last one was stolen.
Yeah.
So here's my question, okay? Other than super gluing the iPhone to her arm somewhere or doing something like that, I've been looking at these things. I mean, there's got to be a way out there to keep the iPhone. She's 17 years old and goes to high school, right? So need I say more? So that's the problem.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I've been looking at these things online that are like one of them's called a ZOM leash. ZOM.
Yeah, I have one of those. And the idea is as you move away from your phone, a little, you could have this hooked to your purse, for instance. Alarm will go off in your purse saying, hey, you forgot your phone. It uses Bluetooth.
Right.
Much less likely to misplace it, I guess. There are a lot of things like that. I've used that. That works.
Well, they all get really low reviews. So, I mean, I guess
that's the problem. Is it you may end up spending more money on this junk, and she still loses it or still gets stolen or what. I mean, if it gets stolen, what you don't want her to do is chase after the person who stole it, right? So, but if she's leaving it behind in the lunchroom, well, that'd be a useful thing, right?
Yeah. So I was just wondering if you had any experience with those. If you thought they were good.
Yeah, they work.
Does it work? $20?
Yeah, they work. It's Bluetooth. They work via Bluetooth. You pair it with the ZOM, and then when you get more than 30 feet away, when it loses the Bluetooth signal, you have the ZOM on your purse, in your pocket, and it goes off.
Okay.
That works.
I'll buy one of those, and I'll give it a shot. I mean, this is phone number 4, I think, in 2 years. So,
believe me, same thing with my daughter. She got an a fender bender a couple of years ago, and the phone was sitting in the cup holder and went flying out the window. And we never found it. It just was, I don't know where it must have gone over a wall or something. We searched the area, never found it. You do turn on Find My iPhone, of course.
Yeah. We did all that, but the problem is that even though we knew where it was, the cops went over there, and what are they going to do? Bust into the guy's house?
That's the problem.
The guy, said he didn't steal it, so we're going to try it again. Hey, I was going to tell you one more thing. I'm going to try Ting, T-I-N-G.
Yeah, love Ting.
That from you.
Yeah.
I got that from, it was your idea.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put her on Ting because if I put her on Ting, that I would go bankrupt. But so I got her on, you know.
How does Sprint work in your neighborhood? Because it uses Sprint.
Yeah, you know, I have no trouble with it at all. And so I have no trouble. And so I know they were advertising, I think, with you. That's where I heard of it.
Yes.
And I think it's a great, my phone bill is going to be like, when I add up, you know, they let you add up what it's going to be. My phone bill is going to be like $50 for 2 phones. So, and I got 2, and you know what, guess what else? So what do these 4 things have in common? ESET, Audible, Carbonite, and Gazelle.
And they're all our sponsors. I owe you, Mark. Thank you for your support. That's great. You know, I really do appreciate it. We're very careful. We pick sponsors, make sure that they're good products, and then and they support us. They keep this show, and it makes it free. It makes all of our services, Tech Guy Labs, free, everything like that. And it's nice. I don't have to ask you for money. By supporting the sponsors, you're making it possible. So I thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it.
You got it, man. Well, thanks for the advice.
And boy, I'm with you. My daughter is 21, and she's still losing phones. She's getting an iPhone for Christmas. She's still losing phones. I don't know what you do. That's just, you know, you can buy insurance, but the problem is the deductible on the insurance plus the cost of the insurance ends up being real no advantage. You know,
I did buy AppleCare. I did buy the AppleCare thing because for 2 years, if it goes in the toilet, which seems to be a big thing with women.
That's another one.
In the toilet.
Guys too, believe me, it happens to everybody. Yeah, and these are not cheap devices. I mean, we're talking $600 if you don't get them subsidized. It really adds up. AppleCare Plus is the kind of AppleCare you want for that. Regular AppleCare is just an extended warranty, but they do have AppleCare Plus. The problem is you get this, I can't remember, the $50 deductible. It's expensive, maybe more than that, plus the cost of it. You could do the math. You'd have to lose it a certain number of times to make it worthwhile. Hey, happy holidays, Mark. You're a good dad. You know, having a teenager is just expensive, and that's just one more way to make it expensive. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Our website, as I mentioned, always free, techguylabs.com. That's where you'll find links to the articles I mentioned, the news stories. I just read a news story that said smartphone theft is something like 1/3 of all reported thefts or burglaries or robberies is smartphones. It's a huge problem. And still the smartphone companies don't want to allow a kill switch. Actually, the state of California senator has introduced legislation to force them to put a kill switch, a remote security feature. The phone companies say, no, we won't do it. The idea being if the phone is stolen, they throw the kill switch. At least it's useless. And that seems to me to be a good deterrent against thefts. On Thursday, Mark Leno of San Francisco introduced a bill in the California legislature to force the cell phone companies to do this, to put a kill switch. Here's the number from the FCC, 30 to 40% of all robberies, 30 to 40% of all robberies across the United States are mobile phones. A crime that cost U.S. citizens $30 billion in 2012. In California, 50% of street robberies are smartphones. Give me your phone. L.A. alone has seen a 12% increase over the last year. If the kill switch legislation is passed, the carriers can remotely send a message to a device that's been reported lost or stolen. It would trigger the device to brick itself, turn itself into a useless piece of glass, making it far less appealing for thieves. This is something the phone companies have resisted because I guess they want to sell insurance, would be my guess. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, I've wondered, Bill, the theory is they don't want it because they want to sell insurance. If $30 billion in phones are stolen in a year, that's just more incentive for us to buy very expensive and really, frankly, economically silly insurance. Because if you look at almost all these insurance, you can only do it maybe twice a year, once a year. I can't remember. You know, it just varies. But if you look at the limits that these insurance plans impose, It's a bad idea. Plus, you get a new contract, right? And yeah, it would cost them money. That's the conspiracy theory. The other theory, which I think is also reasonable, is that they're really nervous about having such a capability in a phone for fear it would be triggered maliciously. Somebody would say, "Hey, I just found this phone," or this phone was stolen, and it wasn't. And I think that's probably the real reason. But Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Steve is in Los Angeles. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. I hear you had something terrible happen.
Oh, yes. Hi, Leo. How you doing? Yeah, I was a victim of identity theft earlier in the year.
Oh, you boy. Jeez. Tell me about it. What happened?
Well, I applied for a home loan, and I unfortunately used one of the online services. And I think, well, actually one of two ways. Either through this online service, filling out all the information, and now this guy has virtually all my information, social security number, date of birth, all that wonderful stuff. But then the other thing that also was suspicious is the notary that came out, who came out to fill out all the paperwork. She'd fill all the paperwork, and then she called me back later and said, "Oh, I made a mistake on the paperwork. I need to do the paperwork all over again." So she came back, and now she has two sets of forms again with all my information.
In other words, you're not sure. It's hard to know. But that information is out there now. And all it really takes is a name, address, date of birth, social security number, and somebody can create credit cards in your name.
Yes, correct. And then the biggest thing, of course, is once they have your social security number, you can't change the number.
Right.
So you're stuck with it. So my concern is, what do I do in the long term? I've gone through LifeLock and put credit holes and so forth on my credit report. But my concern is, now this guy has all this information, and I heard you mention earlier that, these guys sell this information over and over again.
Yeah, they do.
So once this guy has this info, is it going to go?
Have you had identity? Has somebody taken out credit cards?
Oh yeah, and I have outstanding credit, and in one day they racked up $35,000. And they would go. There's some magic number for some reason. It's $5,000, and they went to Best Buy, and it was right at $5,000. It was at $5,000. They went to Zales Jewelry, $5,000.
And I know how hard this is to reverse. And this is on your credit record now. And have you found the credit reporting agencies to be sympathetic and helpful?
Not really. If you pay them,
that's nice. Give them money, huh?
Yeah, if you pay them $16 to $17 a month. The other unfortunate thing is even the police department, I went to file a report with the police department, and that took a while, and I gave them all the information. And I'm thinking, these guys are shopping at Zales Jewelers and these high-end stores. I go, they got to have, video information. They got to have video of these things doing it.
I think there's so much of it that the police are they don't have the manpower to deal with it. I think there's a lot of this going on.
You hit the nail on the head. I went to the officer, and he gave me his report, and I go, "Here you go." And I go, "What are you going to do with it?" And he goes, "Buddy, we have 5 guys in our department. We get 600 reports a week."
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're doing the things you should do. I think the fraud alert is very useful.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is you're saying to the 3 credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, do not issue credit in my name without contacting me first.
Now, the other thing I've learned is that you can set out a hold. You can set a hold for 90 days. That's easy.
Yeah, you have to repeat it, though. That's the problem.
You have to repeat it. And then they said you could put a long-term hold for 7 years. But, again, with all the information they have, and because I have such outstanding credit, I would imagine that these guys could just keep this thing and every few years try to run it over and over.
Yeah, and I wish you could change your social. Socials should never be used in the way they're being used as identifiers because... Well, even the government says, do not use this for identifying yourself, and it is.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to, and this is a horrible situation. I think LifeLock does a good job of trying to help fix things. I think you can do a lot on your own. I think you will have to be vigilant. Do the 7-year thing. I mean, the truth is, while yes, the potential for this continuing to be used is there, they're going to find new victims. If it doesn't work for a while, they're going to find new victims.
Yeah, well, the other thing I'm finding out, even with the credit card companies, how easy it is that they just don't seem to.
They don't. Well, of course not.
The fact that they're just willing to write all this money off.
Of course not. Same reason the banks did so many bad loans for so many years. There's no incentive for them not to issue credit cards.
Yeah. And like this guy, literally, he would go $5,000 in one day. Went literally probably in a big shopping center and went $5,000.
Oh, you have. All I could say is I'm really sorry. I've heard these stories time and time again. It's very difficult to do. It's going to cost you money to do this effectively. It's just be very careful. Everybody listening, this is an object lesson. Just be very careful about giving out that information. And I do have a LifeLock account, and I keep that running at all times, hoping that I'll be notified soon if something does happen. But there is no good solution. And unfortunately, LifeLock. I really feel for LifeLock because the credit reporting agencies effectively tried to shut them down. They sued them. They don't want companies like Life. They don't want us to be protected. They are interested in perpetuating this situation. It makes them money. As you said, they'll help you for a fee.
Yeah, and they all want a fee. Every one of them. I was signed up for all three of them, and it's $17 a month every month.
It's a profit center.
Yeah.
Of course they don't want these solutions to work.
There's no way to contact them via the phone either. It's impossible to try to find a way to contact them.
And you think they're not loaded? You think these companies aren't making a ton of money? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
They can afford reps. They don't want you to talk to them.
Yeah, they make it very difficult to even get a hold of them.
Yeah, of course.
I did take your advice on getting my free credit report again that you mentioned earlier today.
Yeah, you got to keep up. Everybody should be doing that just because the sooner you nip it in the bud, the better.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it's still, once it happens, I don't know. I'm really sad that we've gotten in this situation. I really am.
Yeah, because that's my concern is that, and it's got to be, and certainly someone with good credit like myself, is that they can, they just probably, I can imagine a bank of these information that they have that they can literally just throw up every few years.
Well, that's what changed. The internet made it so easy for this information to be circulated.
Yeah, a lot of what's happened recently, well, the other thing is they apply online all the time, too. They don't go in person.
Right.
Because they don't get caught.
Right.
That way.
Right. So we're living in a golden era for hackers.
Yeah.
It's a golden era.
Yes.
And I don't think it's going to get better.
No, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. You have my sympathies. Gosh, it's horrible.
I do want to say, Leo, I've been listening for you for years, and your show is outstanding. I look forward to it each and every weekend, and I listen to it religiously on Saturday and Sunday, and it's just a fantastic show.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that.
Have a good day, sir.
All right, you take care.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just terrible. And I don't even blame the hackers. I blame the companies that do such a poor job of protecting our information. I blame the companies that use Social Security numbers as identifiers, even though that's illegal. And frankly, I blame our Congress members and our legislators for not doing a better job policing this stuff. It's just, it's a shame. Thank you, Steve, and happy holidays. I hope you can solve this problem. Let's go to Ottawa and John on the line. Not Ottawa, Canada, Ottawa, Illinois.
Hello.
Hi, John. Welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Leo. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. What can I do for you?
I just recently purchased a powered subwoofer for my home theater system, and as soon as I plug it in, it starts making a humming sound.
It's a ground loop. I'll help you with that in a second. There's actually some easy fixes for this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yes, I know my clock is in military time. That way you know that this is PM, not AM. Plus, every day at 13:37, it's leet time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, and there he is, ladies and gentlemen, from the snowbound Disneyland, Dickie D, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and our very special Gizwiz. Hey, Dick.
You don't know how wrong that snow is. Leo, do you know about the weather in New York City?
No, it's not snowing in New York?
It is 56.
It's warmer there than it is here.
Tomorrow, it is going to break the history record. It's going to be 69.
In New York City on December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas.
The second day of winter.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been a very strange couple of years in New York weather-wise.
Last week, Dennis and I spent a whole day putting 2 and 3 layers of plastic on all my windows.
Ready
my
for.
apartment was
I remember
freezing.
we lived back east. You stormproof the house for winter.
Now I
You
have
put
to
up
leave
the
back
double
door
pane
open
window.
because I'm suffocated.
Well, enjoy the spring-like weather.
It's going to be very short for us.
I'm sure. I'm dreaming of a warm Christmas. So usually you come here with a gadget in hand.
A gadget, yes. Theater geeks. Theater geeks have never, they missed this gadget. They're always with the 1080p and the 4K. Where were they when fake TV came out?
Fake TV?
Fake TV, okay? You get a fake TV and you can get it for under $40.
Wow.
And the object here is...
The price is right.
Yes, it is. And you don't need to wear glasses.
Can I pay them with fake money?
You could try. So actually, it's a pretty good idea. So a lot of times people put a lamp on a timer. When they go out, the lamp comes on, and a burglar might say, "Oh, there's a lamp on."
Big
but
deal.
Fake TV, yeah, fake TV is a little device that has 12 LEDs, color LEDs, that flash on and off, do pauses, do fades in and out, and the object is you put that on a table facing a wall. And from the outside, it looks like somebody is watching TV. It can go on at dusk automatically and stay on for 4 hours or 7 hours, or you can just leave it on all the time. And the advantage is, I believe the guy said it burns 2 watts of electricity. So instead of having your TV burning whatever it burns, this little guy is easy to move around the house. It comes with a little AC adapter. And there are 2 versions. There's fake TV, and the new version is now 3 times brighter. So it's a smaller unit. The old version is still for sale. The old version is $29.95, and the new version of fake TV is $39.95.
Do they call it real fake TV? The more
No, they should. They should.
No, yeah.
New improved fake TV.
Improved fake TV. Less
Right,
fake.
exactly. Less fake.
Do you think that works?
100% more brightness.
Does that work, do you think? I mean, I wish we knew some burglars we could ask them.
Oh, you know what? I tell you what. You leave your TV on and your door unlocked.
Okay.
I'll leave my fake TV on and my door unlocked.
Okay. We'll see who gets robbed first.
We'll check next Saturday.
You can go to gizwiz.biz and read about all of Dick's gadgets. He does gadgets galore on our podcast network, but also on television, and it's all at gizwiz.biz. While you're there, click the link that says, "What the heck is that?" And you can play in the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to guess your way to an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Dick,
sir,
have a wonderful...
I know you have a guy waiting. I think he has a groundhog.
Yeah, he's got a ground loop, yeah. I will go to him in a second. But Dick, do have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Thank you.
All
I'll
right.
see you then,
Thanks.
and I'll do a Giz Fizz later.
Stick around. More of the Dick DiBartolo on the podcast network right after the radio show. We were talking to Matt in San Diego. He got a brand new subwoofer. Love it. Powered, as many subwoofers are. Because they need a lot of juice to move a lot of air, so you're going to boom, boom, boom. But he gets a hum even when there's no signal. It's just buzzing. Usually that means either that radio interference is getting in through the cord, but more likely that the plug it's plugged into is not properly grounded and there's maybe a buzz, or a buzz is coming to it from the stereo system it's hooked up to. Best way to do this is go to Radio Shack. You can get these little magnetic ferrite coils. You snap onto the wire. They're cheap, and in most cases they'll eliminate that ground loop, that buzz sound. If it doesn't, then you might want to get an electrician to check the power and make sure that it's not miswired. But generally, these little ferrite cores that you just snap on, they're fabulous. They're really fabulous. You can also Spider is telling us for $8 on Amazon, you can buy an inexpensive ground loop isolator that will do something similar. It sits in between your AV receiver and the amplified subwoofer, and it kills all of that noise. So that's a good way to do it. 8888 Ask Leo. You know what? I think we're almost out of time, so I'll just take one more call. But we will be back next time, tomorrow. So it won't be too late. Yeah, that was John in Ottawa. Now Matt in San Diego. Now I got it. Hi, Matt. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I thought I was doing a great thing on my own, and I took some...
This sounds like kind of bitter regrets are coming here. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
VHS to my desktop.
Okay.
I went out and purchased a 60-gigabyte flash drive thinking I could put all of these videos onto the flash drive.
Sure. So 60 gigs is about 60 hours of video.
Okay. It didn't fill up, so it probably filled up 3/4 of it, but as I copy them over, many of the files it looks like they're like 4 gigabyte size. So I thought, well, this will be simple.
There's a 2 gig limit.
I could plug this into any computer anywhere, and the videos will play. And so I've tried every player that I could think of, and on one of the computers it plays, and on most of the others nothing plays at all.
Yeah. So there's a couple of possibilities. The file size could be one of them. Not all computers can handle files larger than 2 gigs. There's a 2 gig barrier and there's a 4 gig barrier. You have to use the most recent version of Windows. You have to have, I think Windows 7 is 4 gigs. Pre-Windows 7 it was 2 gigs. The file system could also be a limitation. The other problem could be codec based. In other words, you can have videos, the files can be fine. You can drag them to your hard drive. You can examine them, but you can't play them back because you don't have the right decompressing software. Because all videos compressed. It has to be. It's too big otherwise. Mm-hmm. Best thing to do, first thing I would try, it's free. These are all Windows machines?
Everything.
Actually, it doesn't matter. It works on Windows or Mac. It's called Video LAN Client, VLC. It will play any video file I've ever found.
You know, I went ahead and I downloaded that, and it will not play on it plays on my computer, but when I transfer to somebody else's, I'm sorry, when I've transferred to another, when I've tried to plug the same thing in.
Then it's a file size issue.
It's a file size issue. So how can I...
So if you're only using Windows computers, you can reformat that USB. I hope you have the originals. You didn't just put them on the USB drive.
No, I've got them all
good.
on my desktop.
So you're safe. And they continue to play on your desktop.
And they play on the desktop.
Yeah. I would reformat the USB drive as NTFS because they come out of the box FAT32. That has a file size limit. NTFS is much larger. And then see if that works. Also, make sure you're using up-to-date versions of Windows on the machines you want to read it. Hey, I'm out of time. Thank you, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.